Jason Carter bought an abandoned house to flip for profit. On day 3, while repairing the attic roof, he pried open a suspicious beam and discovered a waterproof case. Multiple passports with the same face, driver's licenses from different states, cash, and sealed USB drives. He nervously called the police. Federal agents arrived within 90 minutes, and their lead investigator's expression told Jason everything had just changed. Jason Carter had spent years saving for one goal: to flip his first house. While his friends climbed corporate ladders, Jason worked overtime and skipped vacations. He squirreled away every spare dollar. Finally, he had enough. He found an abandoned 2-story house on the outskirts of town. The place had been empty for nearly 5 years. The price was too good to pass up. Jason made an offer immediately. Within 2 weeks, the house was his. Standing in front of his first property, keys in hand, Jason felt pride mixed with nervous excitement. The place needed serious work, but that was the point. Fix it up, sell it, make a profit, repeat. This was supposed to be the start of something big. He started with the roof, which had visible damage from years of neglect. Jason hauled his tools up to the attic and got to work. The space was dusty and cramped, filled with cobwebs and the smell of abandonment. But Jason didn't mind. Every hour of work was an investment in his future. By day 3, Jason noticed something odd. One section of the roof beam looked different from the others. The wood appeared newer, and the grain pattern didn't match. It seemed deliberate, like someone had gone to great lengths to hide something. Jason grabbed his crowbar and carefully worked it into the seam. The beam resisted at first, then gave way with a splintering crack that echoed through the empty attic. Behind it was a hollow space. Inside sat a waterproof case covered in dust. Someone had gone to serious trouble to conceal this. Jason's heart pounded as he pulled it out. The case felt heavy in his hands. He hesitated for a moment, then opened it and froze. Multiple passports, each showing a different name, but the same man's face staring back at him. Driver's licenses from different states, thick envelopes stuffed with cash, several USB drives sealed in plastic bags. This wasn't some forgotten treasure. This was evidence of something serious. Jason's mind raced. Was the previous owner a criminal? Identity thief? But something didn't add up. Why hide this so carefully if you never plan to come back? Why leave behind what looked like a complete escape kit? He pulled out his phone and photographed everything. The passports, the licenses, the cash, the drives. His hands were shaking. Jason paced the attic floor, his mind spinning. Should he call the police? What if this dragged him into something dangerous? What if the people connected to this came looking for it? But keeping it secret felt wrong. This was clearly evidence of something big. After 10 agonizing minutes of internal debate, Jason made the call. 2 local officers arrived, took one look at the materials, and immediately radioed their supervisor. Their expressions shifted from routine curiosity to alarm. They told Jason to stay put and not touch anything else. The way they guarded the compartment told Jason this was bigger than he'd imagined. Then the waiting began. 90 minutes later, unmarked vehicles pulled up. Men in dark suits emerged and moved with purpose toward the house. Federal agents. Jason's stomach dropped. What had he stumbled into? The lead agent introduced himself as Morrison. He spent nearly an hour examining the compartment, while workers in gloves meticulously bagged everything. Jason waited in his truck, watching agents swarm through his property. He wondered if his dream investment had just become a nightmare. Finally, Morrison approached. He explained that the house had belonged to a man living under witness protection, someone who had testified against dangerous people and needed a new identity to survive. The multiple passports weren't for criminal purposes. They were lifelines, escape routes if his cover got blown. The man had been living in constant fear, always ready to run. Jason felt relief wash over him. At least he hadn't bought a criminal's hideout. But Morrison's expression remained grim, his jaw tight. He told Jason the materials would need to be analyzed and asked him not to discuss the discovery with anyone. Something about the agent's tone suggested there was more to the story, something Morrison wasn't ready to share yet. Over the next 2 weeks, Jason tried to continue his renovation. He patched walls and painted rooms, but concentration proved impossible. Every time he climbed into the attic, he thought about that hollow beam, the desperate man who'd hidden those identities. Every creak of the floorboards made him jump. The house felt different now, less like an opportunity and more like a tomb. He started wondering if he'd made a terrible mistake buying this place. Then one evening, Morrison returned with another agent. They knocked on the door just after sunset. They asked to come inside, and Jason knew immediately that they'd found something terrible. The look on Morrison's face said everything. They sat in the living room. Morrison explained that the USB drives had contained encrypted backup files, evidence the witness had kept as insurance. Files that detailed crimes, named names, provided proof. The tech team had spent days breaking the encryption, working around the clock. But more importantly, Morrison continued, the drives had helped them locate the witness himself. Jason's blood ran cold. The way Morrison said it, the heaviness in his voice, made Jason's stomach turn. Morrison's next words hit like a physical blow. The man hadn't relocated to start fresh. He'd been murdered shortly after disappearing 5 years ago. Members of the crime family he'd testified against had somehow found him despite the protection program. They'd tracked him down, killed him, and buried his body in a remote location 3 states away. He'd never had a chance to use those escape routes he'd so carefully prepared. The evidence from the drives had led to their arrests. Justice was finally being served, Morrison said, but it felt like cold comfort. Jason felt sick. He'd been renovating a dead man's house, walking the same floors where someone had lived in constant fear, looking over his shoulder every day. The hidden compartment wasn't a safety deposit box. It was a desperate last resort from someone who knew danger was closing in. Escape plans he never got to use. Those passports were supposed to save his life, but nothing could. Morrison thanked Jason for his cooperation and left. The case would make regional news, though Jason's name would be kept out of it. For his own safety, Morrison added. Jason finished the renovation mechanically without any excitement. Every swing of the hammer felt hollow. The house sold quickly. He priced it to move. A young couple bought it within a week, thrilled about the deal they were getting. Jason didn't tell them what he'd found. The danger was gone. The criminals were arrested. It was just a house now. They didn't need to know about the ghosts that haunted it. Jason took the profit and donated every cent to a victims advocacy group. He didn't want that money. It felt tainted, connected to tragedy he couldn't undo. His first flip should have been a celebration. Instead, it felt like a funeral. He'd found what was hidden in the roof, but the answer brought no satisfaction, no closure. Just the heavy knowledge that sometimes the truth is simply sad. And doing the right thing means carrying that weight long after everyone else has moved on. What would you have done if you discovered those hidden identities in your first investment property?